So I'm going to scroll back up to the resources and lesson plans, and we're going to look at the resource that has been purchased for our use, Glencoe 2015 Online Teacher Resource. So this tells me that for 6NS1, I need to go to Chapter 4, Lessons 6 through 8, and those lessons will deal directly with interpreting and computing quotients of fractions. So I'm going to minimize my document, and I'm going back to the secondary math analysis by standard. In an earlier video, I stated that everything that you need to plan can be found through this site. So I'm on the site, and on the left side, I'm going to click on resources. Here, there is a link to the Core Plus Glencoe resource. Core Plus is for Math 1, 2, and 3, and then Glencoe is for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade math. You access both of these through the connected McGraw-Hill site. So I'm clicking on that link, and it brings it up. Hopefully, if this is something that you have used before, you have already bookmarked it. And this is one of those sites that kind of allows you to save your username and password, so it makes it really easy for me. So I'm going to log in. And because I've already redeemed my master code for the course that I teach, 6th grade math, I am going to find that actual book cover, National Glencoe Math Course 1, 2015. I'm going to click on the name, on the title. And once I do that, this online teacher resource opens. There is a webinar from early last year that is saved on the drive that will kind of walk you through some of the steps in using this particular resource. But I'm going to talk about how we can use this to plan for 6NS1 today. So again, I know that according to the document that the Common Core team for Cumberland County created, they said that this standard is addressed in Chapter 4, Lessons 6 through 8. So here right now, my chapter default menu says Chapter 12, but I see that all of the chapters can be accessed here. If for some reason this window expands in a place where you can't see everything, you can also click the Plan and Present tab. So I'm going to click that. Okay, here it lists the program overview, the Common Core state standards, and if for some reason you forgot which chapter and which lessons, you could click here and it will align that for you as well. I'm scrolling down to Chapter 4. I'm going to expand the window by clicking on the arrow. And then again, I know that it's lessons 6 through 8. Look at the name here. Lesson 6, divide whole numbers by fractions. Lesson 7, divide fractions. And then Lesson 8, divide mixed numbers. There are several other pieces that go along with these lessons. So here it has an inquiry lab, which is dividing whole numbers by fractions. This is an excellent way to begin a lesson. There's also an inquiry lab for dividing fractions. And then there is a 21st century career connection for why we actually divide fractions and the real life application of this concept. So I'm going to start by clicking on Inquiry Lab, divide whole numbers by fractions. Here I see the standard that is in the documents, 6NS1, and then it even tells the practices. And if you recall in our document, we had Math Practice 4, Modeling with Mathematics, as one of the practices that should be evident in classroom instruction and through the student engagement. Okay, here it has some steps. 1, launch the lab. There are several pieces that are useful for me as a teacher. Remember, we talked about the rigor levels, and you can see the conceptual piece here, fluency, and the application are going to be evident in this lesson. This lesson and this inquiry lab will allow the students to engage and explore, which is a very vital part to their taking ownership of the lesson. Here are questions for you as a teacher to ask. And then there are other hands-on activities to be used throughout this lesson. The second tab has some collaboration pieces and tells you that as a teacher, you can have students collaborate in these various ways through the investigate, think, pair, share, through an analyze and reflect, think, pair, share, through a create where they trade a problem. So a lot of good pieces here. And then there's some pieces for differentiated instruction and for English learners as well. So I'm going to scroll back up because these are all pieces that I may not use all these pieces today, but all of these will be used within the next couple days as I'm instructing on this particular standard. But I know that I want to start this out by jogging their memory, pulling out the prior knowledge that they already have about this particular concept. Because remember, we talked about it earlier that students divided whole numbers by fractions and fractions by whole numbers in the 5th grade. So we're expanding and extending that understanding. So I'm going to click on Launch Presentation. So my launch presentation, I can see that this actual presentation for this inquiry lab has 11 slides. As a teacher, I can decide to use all 11, or I'm able to edit this particular presentation. After I go through, I can look at it, and then I can go back to the site and I can customize this and just pull out the actual slides that I want to use. Okay, but here, this inquiry, this is a question that's set and asked at the beginning. How can a bar diagram help you understand what it means to divide fractions? And then here is the first hands-on activity. And so it starts out by posing a question. Juan is building a set for the school musical. He has a 3-foot board that he needs to equally divide into half-foot pieces. How many pieces will he have after he cuts the board? So right now, they're not asking them to answer the question. The questions that are being asked are, what do you know? So after reading this particular problem, what do you know? So students are to jot that down. And then they're asking them, what do they need to find? So what is the actual question that is being asked and needing to be answered? And then you could see here that it kind of walks you through the inquiry after you've given the students time to talk and discuss. Then you can see how this is actually done, and then they give some other hands-on activities. Again, I want to remind you that there's a problem here that has 2 divided by 3/4. Again, it's not just about doing that math. I know a lot of times we tell them keep, change, flip. That's a great tool for them to use to remember that process or that procedure, but the standard is not just about procedure. They will have to be able to model this with a bar diagram, number line, or some other form. So this piece is very important. So even through this program, it steps them through what do you actually do if you are dividing 2 by 3/4.